Hello, welcome back to another Mail Day video. Yeah. So, if you have me on Facebook as my RazorwireReviews account, you'll probably know or have seen in passing that about 3 weeks ago, maybe even a month at this point, I filmed a Mail Day video that featured me going through a bunch of Criterion titles that I'd recently picked up. And I edited the video. I rendered the video, it was complete, I made the thumbnail. And in the confusion of me finishing my 24-hour movie marathon 6, check it out now, I think I deleted it. Not only did I delete the finished video that I spent probably 45 minutes editing and half an hour filming and all that stuff, but I think I deleted the actual source file itself too. So there's that. So you're not going to get the fun of me actually opening my huge Barnes & Noble package. You're not going to get the fun of me going through all of this ridiculous junk mail that they sent me, including like these credit card deals, these food deals, meal deals that were all American, yet included in a European order. Had all this junk mail to sift through, and then I take the titles out and stuff. It was fun, and I unwrapped every single Criterion. I went through the booklets. I was like, look at this, look at that. It's going to be hard to kind of emulate that now because they're all open. But I have a couple that weren't in that original video, so that's maybe a plus. I have about 11 titles here. I'm not sure offhand. Much like Blu-ray Dan, I could take 10 seconds to count how many there are, but I haven't got the time. So we're going to jump in with some UK Criterions. I got some American Criterions. A lot of these are from the Barnes & Noble sale. I saved up, well not saved up, but I saved and portioned off most of my birthday money for the Barnes & Noble 50% off deal that they do every year, or at least twice a year in fact. And you know, it used to be that the Barnes & Noble 50 off deal was like incredible about 5 years ago, but now that the exchange rate has kind of gone a bit sour over the past few years, it's not as good of a deal, but it's still fairly decent. To me, $20 for a Criterion is really good. You can find Criterions on Amazon for $20, but not all of them, you know. So when like all of the standard kind of single film releases from Criterion are $20 on Blu-ray, it's a pretty damn good deal. So I bought about 7 or 8 from the Barnes & Noble sale. I got one from Amazon.com, and then the rest I got from UK. So we'll see what happens in this video. It might be another jumbled mess of 30 minutes of me waffling on about these titles. It might not. I've now seen some of these movies, so it's going to be a completely different video than the one I recorded a few weeks ago, but we'll just get on with it now, and I'll forget about that preamble and just talk about the damn films already. Okay, so this is the latest one I got, actually. It's from the UK, A Brighter Summer Day, a film by Edward Yang. I signed up to the Filmstruck Criterion streaming service a month or two ago for 2 weeks, and it was incredible. I haven't yet kind of made the commitment to sign up full time, but I will do that soon. And I saw this, and it just really intrigued me. I thought, you know what, I want to buy this on Blu-ray and get the full experience in high definition. As good as the streaming on Filmstruck is, you know, you will get kind of quality drops and stuff. I wanted the full kind of uninterrupted, you know, high definition experience with this film because it just seemed like one I would like. It's like a 4-hour movie almost, or yeah, I mean it's 4 minutes shy of 4 hours, and it just, I don't even want to look into it too much, but it's set in the 1960s and seems to be sort of a coming of age movie. And they released it in the UK recently, so I decided to bite the bullet and pick it up, even though it was still £18, and I'll get to that in just a second. But this has a new 4K digital restoration, an audio commentary with Tony Raines. I don't know how much I'd want to listen to Tony Raines for 4 hours, especially with his love of words like fetishistic, but he is fantastic, and it's certainly something that could be of interest. And the fact that a 4-hour movie has a commentary is a lot of value for money, in my opinion, especially with someone as versed and knowledgeable of Asian cinema in particular as Tony Raines. A new interview with actor Chang Chen. Our Time, Our Story, a 2-hour almost documentary from 2002 about the new Taiwan cinema movement. And a videotaped 1992 performance of Edward Yang's play Likely Consequence. I really like the idea of that, filming a play and including it on a director's film special features. So I'll open this up now. This will be the only one I can open up and have a look inside. And as I said, yeah, the £18, which is kind of the typical price for a UK Criterion, $17.99. I wanted to get this. I decided I'd wait until it went down to like, you know, £14, as they sometimes do. But do you know what? I've got my Asian cinema season coming up, and so I really wanted to include this in that, and so I decided to pay the not premium, but the full price of £18, although I did get to save a few pounds because, of course, as I've said before, on many occasions, if you order Blu-rays from Amazon UK, from Norway, you get the VAT taken off. So this is about £15, I think, altogether, and I can't get this cellophane off for the life of me. So here we go. We have the booklet inside. It's one of the thinner, newer booklets that's kind of a fold out more than an actual booklet itself. So we can open it up, and sort of nice image there. Note from the director, which is cool. It opens up, all that kind of good stuff. I won't go too much into it. So, Bright Summer Day, you'll be seeing a review for this in the coming months as part of my Asian cinema season, which I'll be getting a video up very soon to kind of announce and give you the details of in full. It's something I've been working on for a while in terms of the planning. I'm just getting into actually realizing the thing, so I need to announce the date of it. Anyway, A Bright Summer Day, looking forward to this one very much. And also, I'm really happy with this kind of haul because you got a lot of different films from a lot of different eras and countries, you know, Poland, Russia, China, Japan, America. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the diversity of this stack of Blu-rays. Just lots of wildly different films of different flavors and textures and eras and directors. Another UK Criterion that I got, and this one was from the recent price drop on Amazon, where a lot of their Criterions went down to about £13.99, which was a really good deal. I think I got these for like £10.83, which was just, I couldn't pass that up. So this one is Tampopo, a Japanese film. I believe it's about a woman who is widowed, and her late husband was a ramen chef or ran a ramen restaurant, and so she's kind of going on some kind of, you know, journey to, I guess, get over the death of that. I don't know, but it's about food very much, and it's from 1985. Another 4K digital restoration, a 90-minute making-of documentary, new interviews, and with all sorts of people related to the film. A 1962 debut short film from the director of this film, who is Juzo Itami, and a new video essay by a couple of filmmakers on the themes of self-improvement and mastery of a craft. Trailer and all that kind of good stuff, and as always you get a really nice booklet. In fact, I remember this now. This is actually a poster as well, which is really cool. I love the way they've done this because you can fold it out as a poster, and it's not like I'd ever use it, but I think it's a really gorgeous piece of design, and just, yeah, I love that. Really, really nice. And I'm sure once I've seen the film, I'll appreciate it even more. But then you have the booklet, which is like this, which is kind of cool. I don't know how practical it'll be reading. This is certainly not a booklet I could take into the toilet to read, like I usually do. But I really like that feature. It's really cool. So, you know, £10, you know, £11 pretty much for, you know, a 4K digitally restored film with a nice fold-out poster booklet, a 90-minute making of, new interviews up the wazoo. Like, it's just a really good deal. Obviously, I hope I like the film, and you'll probably hear about it very soon as well. The next one I picked up for, again, around £11 from the UK is one of the first Criterions released in the UK when they first announced that they were going to be expanding to the UK, which is still quite shocking to me, but it's really great that it's still going and it didn't kind of peter out, because we can get some of these titles for better prices, and they're pretty much the exact same editions, and I love that. So this one is The In-Laws. It just didn't strike me as a film that I needed to get, especially when it was first released, and I was specifically waiting for a price drop on this one. But I was intrigued by the two stars here. We have Peter Falk and Alan Arkin. I love both of those actors. Obviously Peter Falk more from Columbo, but he's great in other things as well, and Alan Arkin is just so funny, so great in almost everything I see him in, from Little Miss Sunshine to more recently Going in Style, which is a really fun kind of caper movie. You know, Alan Arkin's just hilarious. I'm really looking forward to seeing these two guys together in a comedy. Obviously, they're in-laws, and so I think it's kind of one of those kind of wacky comedies that no doubt would be built around the comedic stylings of the two lead actors. And what really attracted me to the Blu-ray, besides the film itself, is that we have an audio commentary featuring the director, Arthur Hiller, and the actors Alan Arkin and Peter Falk. That just sounds like a really cool bonus. So yeah, also the writer of the film was in the commentary, so you got like the writer, the director, and the two lead stars. New interviews and a UK digital restoration. New interviews and a new 2K digital restoration, and we have a nice booklet inside there. Alan Arkin with an actual head of hair there, which is pretty unusual to see, but yeah. Looking forward to checking this one out. Probably won't be in a rush to get to it, but I'm glad that I own it now, and I feel like it's going to be a really good film to throw on a weekend, something like that. Next we have two UK titles that I really wish I'd waited on. And I'm going to tell this story again, even though I've already told it in a video that you'll never see, but to me it feels weird going over it again. But nevertheless, when I was visiting home in the summer, I went to get the coach from Cardiff to the airport. And so I got into Cardiff City about, I think it was 8:40. In fact, no, it must have been later than that. So I think it was 8:50. The coach was in like 40 minutes, and I thought, ooh, HMV opens at 9 o'clock. So I went over to HMV, and I thought, don't go in, Luke, don't go in, and I went in. And there was a couple of Criterions, and I just thought, fuck it. Spent some of my birthday money, and bought them both for full price, $17.99. And of course, a week later, they both went down to $13.99 on Amazon, which again would have been about £11 for me. So I kind of bought two Criterions for almost the price of, well, one Criterion for the, what am I talking about? I'm getting lost in my own mathematics inside my head. I spent double the price that I could have if I just waited a week. There we go, almost. So on with the films. We have Andrei Tarkovsky's Solaris. Know nothing about it beyond it being a science fiction film, and I've only seen one of Tarkovsky's films before, that being Andrei Rublev, which was a visual masterpiece. I don't know if I enjoyed the story as much, but it was just stunning from a visual standpoint. And so I'm really intrigued to dive into this one and to see how he handles science fiction, because Andrei Rublev is very much this period piece set in like the, you know, the early centuries of civilization, and so it almost is unimaginable to me to picture this kind of a film from him. But I mean, that was the only film I've seen from Tarkovsky so far. So I know that this was remade by Steven Soderbergh, which is interesting to me. So I haven't seen that. I don't know anything about it. I don't know the story. I'm not even going to look at the story. But this has an audio commentary with some scholars of Tarkovsky, 9 deleted and alternate scenes, video interviews with an actress of the film, cinematographer, art director and composer, and an excerpt from a documentary about the author of the film's source novel. So it's obviously adapted from a novel. Really nice disc artwork and booklet design there. Again, not going to flick through them to save you the time, but looks like a really solid release. This is almost a 3-hour movie too, so I'll be getting to it in an episode of the Epic Film Challenge 2, no doubt. And I love that cover. Really, really nice. Love the colouring, as Blu-ray Dan would say. But yeah, highly intrigued for that one. Next one, again, which I think I'm happy that I paid full price for this, because I think I'm going to really love it. And it just seems like one of those classic films you need to own in a great edition. It is 12 Angry Men. Sidney Lumet film, I believe, yes. Love that cover too. Have we got 12? Yeah, we got 12. And the artwork is just great. Really, really love that. And I think this is about 12 men who are on a jury and are debating a crime. And I believe that is pretty much it, like a chamber piece, just guys in a room hashing something out. So really can't wait to get to this one, and I'm just kind of waiting for the right moment to pop this disc in, I think. And this one has a teleplay from a radio show, I suppose. They did a lot of those back in the, the 30s, 40s, 50s. They do these radio adaptations of movies, and they'd kind of compact the storyline down to 30 or 60 minutes and then have some of the actors reprise their roles. I don't know if that's the same with this one, but I'm assuming that's the same deal. Criterion have done a lot of that in their previous releases, where they'll do the radio adaptations included as special features where you just see a picture and you can listen along to the radio adaptation. Archival interviews, interviews, lots of interviews on this one. No commentary, but yeah, and I love the booklet design there. I think that they included all 12 of those portraits that you see on the cover in bigger forms here for the booklet, which is really nice. So if you like the cover, you get to kind of see those up close and so on. And again, once I've seen the movie and I know what these, I recognize these faces, it'll be even cooler to see. And guess what? I've actually seen some of the films that are coming up, so a bit of a difference on the usual mail day. But 12 Angry Men, this is a film that whenever I hear someone talk about it, they talk about it being a real classic. So the opinion seems to be unanimous that this is a great film, so definitely looking forward to that one. Now we have another film that is always hailed as a classic, and now we're getting into the US Criterions, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of. I should pick the pace up a little bit. This is always hailed as a classic, and I was really intrigued to see it. We watched it about a week or two ago, and I've already done my review of it, so if you want to see it, you can go check it out. It is a Mike Nichols film, The Graduate, starring Dustin Hoffman. Another film that I've wanted to see for many years and wanted to wait until I got the Criterion, and this is one of those, you know, those brand spanking new 4K digital restoration gimmicks. Audio commentary from 2007 with Mike Nichols in conversation with filmmaker Steven Soderbergh, who I just mentioned. An audio commentary from 1987 with a film scholar, a new interview with actor Dustin Hoffman, which seems to be like, I think, 40 minutes almost, so that looks really good, like a really recent, lengthy, in-depth, detailed interview with Dustin Hoffman, which is probably going to be the standout thing on the disc, I think. New conversations and interviews, a short documentary, a 1992 featurette on the making of the film, interview with Mike Nichols from 1966, so on and so on. Screen test trailer. They absolutely jam-packed this release, and I couldn't be happier because I absolutely adored the film, about a guy who's leaving college and you know, he's graduated and now his whole life is ahead of him, and he has no idea what he wants to do, and he gets seduced by a friend of his father's business associate. His wife, Mrs. Robinson, seduces him, and they enter into an affair between this young man and this older woman, and it gets more complicated and hairy from there. This is just, for me, one of the best films I think I've ever seen, just all across the board. As far as the vision for this film, everything is executed so almost perfectly. You know, I mean, I hesitate to use the word perfect, but the music, the direction, the cinematography, the writing, the performances, you know, the story, everything is just firing on all cylinders. I absolutely adored this. It looked great on Blu-ray. So happy about this purchase. Fantastic film. Next one, I actually have shown in a previous Mail Day video, so I'll be very brief about it, but it is the Ballad of Narayama, the first version that was made into a film from 1958. New 2K digital master, no real special features to speak of. It's one of the cheaper Criterions, and I picked it up for about $16 from Amazon.com. Really looking forward to this one. I've seen the remake by Shohei Imamura, which I love. I know this is going to be very different, but I love the story of you know, this idea of a town where the rule is once you hit 70 years old, you have to be taken up to Mount Narayama and die, basically. It's just kind of population control and kind of this old, you know, tradition that people have to abide by. And so it follows this woman as she approaches her 70th birthday. So I'm intrigued to see how it differs with the 1980s version, and I don't think it's going to top that for me because I love that film so much. And this one is all shot on stage, whereas the 1980s version was done all on location, so it feels like it's going to be a nice companion piece to each other, two very different visual takes on the same story. This one I was so excited for. I couldn't wait for this film to arrive in the mail, honestly, and it didn't take me long before I watched it. And this, I think, kind of is me owning the three key works from the Polish director Krzysztof Kieslowski. I have the Three Colors trilogy from Criterion, I have the Decalogue set from Arrow Academy, and this is the Criterion version of The Double Life of Veronique. This is an interesting drama about a woman, or two women, who look the same, but live in different countries, and we follow these two stories in very episodic fashion. I've done a review on this, so you can go check that out. Not many people have watched it, and I just want to hear more people's thoughts on it. So if you have seen this film, go check out my review of it. I'll leave it at the end of this video. And tell me what you thought of this film, because I think it's such an interesting film to discuss, and it doesn't seem like many people I know have seen it. I adored it. I think it's one of those films that's going to get better on rewatches. It's almost abstract in a way. There isn't a clear-cut kind of resolution to anything. It really is more about feelings than story. And Irene Jacob is just phenomenal in this. The cinematography is stunning, beautiful. They use this kind of golden filter in this film that just makes everything look otherworldly and beautiful. And this was one actually that the booklet really impressed me. So we have restored high definition transfer. This wasn't in the age of the 4K remasters, but an audio commentary with an author on a book of Kieslowski's movies, 3 short documentaries by Kieslowski from 1970, 1976, and 1980. A short film by Kieslowski's teacher from 1958. The US ending, which didn't really add too much, but it had a nice shot at the end, and in standard definition, unfortunately. A documentary featuring a candid interview with Kieslowski from 1991. A 2005 documentary tracing the director's work in Poland. And a video interview with actress Irene Jacob, the cinematographer of the film, and the composer of the film. I watched the interview with Irene Jacob, which was very illuminating and interesting. But as I said, the booklet, and the disc is still in my player, but the booklet was fantastic. I read it from cover to cover. I think that the first half is an essay. Let me just check. Got the cast listing, got the credits. Yes, Through the Looking Glass by Jonathan Romney, which is an interesting enough essay on the film. You know, I found it interesting, and there's a lot in this. You know, sometimes with booklets the text will be small or bigger, and you can tell how much content is in there just by the size of the font. And this is one where the text is fairly small, and you know they've really packed a lot of stuff in there. It's fairly thick, about maybe 50 pages long. Maybe I'm overestimating. Actually, no, it's about 40 pages long. But the absolute standout of this was, where can I find the opening page so I can tell you what it's called? Pure Emotions, The Double Life of Veronique. The following selections are excerpted from the 1993 book Kieslowski on Kieslowski. So it's actually him talking about his thoughts on The Double Life of Veronique, and also his thoughts on directing, on making films, and it was absolutely just a stunning read for anyone who's interested in filmmaking. Just the choices he makes, why he made them, his process on filmmaking, his process on collaboration. I found it so interesting, so admirable, his approach. I loved his approach to films in general. One of the really interesting bits of trivia for this film is that there are around 15 versions of it initially. He cut 15 different versions, maybe even as many as 20, and he wanted to release a different version in every cinema it was playing in, but it would have cost too much. But he liked the idea of every single film print that was shipped out to cinemas being handmade and different in even small tiny ways. I love that concept. But yeah, so anyway, love the film, fantastic edition. And now we move on to a few more, and I believe I'll at least feature 2 of these in my Asian cinema season. Kagemusha, Akira Kurosawa. I felt something moving around inside the case there. It's just the disc spinning around, never mind, okay. So we have Kagemusha from Akira Kurosawa. I don't like the cover very much. It's very bland and kind of just, to me. Maybe once I've seen the film it'll have more significance. But I've been really excited to watch this film because it's one of the late films that he did in the 80s, I believe, 1980. And he was struggling, you know, after kind of his big successes of the 50s and early 60s. He was struggling, and so he actually needed help from some of his admirers to get this film made and to get this film funded and produced. And those guys were George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola, who were big fans of his and became instrumental in his career in the 1980s, I think, of kind of getting a couple of those films made when he was struggling to secure funding and things like that. At least I think that's the story. So yeah, Kagemusha is about a warlord or a shogun, something like that, who dies, and so they need to, for political reasons, replace him with someone who looks like him. And they're both played, I believe, by Tatsuya Nakadai, who is, for my money, one of the greatest actors of all time. I love his work so much in so many different ways, in so many different films, from Kurosawa's stuff to the stuff he did with Kobayashi. So really excited to see Nakadai in this one, and just some of the imagery I see from screenshots of this film looks so bright and vibrant and colourful. And colour Kurosawa is something I haven't really had much experience in beyond Ran, which is a masterpiece. So I cannot wait to watch this one. And this one has a really nice thick booklet too, which features a lot of Kurosawa's own paintings and drawings, which is really interesting. And I believe one of the special features on the Blu-ray is actually piecing together his original storyboards and art pieces of the film, which is really cool. So you get a lot of that in the booklet as well, printed for you to enjoy in a tangible form in your hands. So there's an audio commentary by Stephen Prince, who always does really good audio commentaries on Kurosawa's films. Lucas, Coppola and Kurosawa, a 19-minute interview piece with the directors George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola discussing Kurosawa and Kagemusha. A 41 documentary on the making of the film, a 44-minute video piece reconstructing Kagemusha through Kurosawa's paintings and sketches. The whiskey commercials that Kurosawa directed at the time, which is quite intriguing as well. A gallery of storyboards painted by Kurosawa, theatrical trailers and teasers, and the booklet, of course. Stacked release, 3-hour movie. Really, really happy to own this one and cannot wait to watch it and talk about it. Now we have a film that is from a director who I'm a big fan of, even though I've only seen one of their films. It's stuck with me for weeks, and I was going to watch this on Filmstruck again, but I felt like, you know what? I loved that film I saw from this same director so much that I want to watch his next film in true high definition. Again, uninterrupted, no quality drops, no buffering, just stick the film on and watch it in all its glory, in the best possible quality. It is Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love. Sadly, the Chungking Express Blu-ray is out of print. I would love to have it, but it goes for crazy money. But yeah, that was the film I saw, Chungking Express, on the Filmstruck service. Love that film, and I did a review of it as well. You can go check that out. But In the Mood for Love, I'll be reviewing this too as part of my Asian cinema season. I believe it's about a man and a woman who live in the same building and fall in love. That's all I need to know, especially knowing that he directed it. You know, I'm kind of hoping for something as visually interesting and uniquely directed as Chungking Express. Maybe I'm kind of hoping too much in that sense, but I cannot wait to check this one out. I believe it has the same lead actor from the second half of Chungking Express, who I thought was fantastic. Excited doesn't really cover it. I mean, this is when I just get so happy as a film fan that we have shit like this. We have these Blu-rays and these great editions with nice booklets and special features and high definition, you know, and it's crazy to think how maybe, you know, 6-7 years ago, I was really a high definition denier. You know, I really was. I was like, there's no difference. You know, people are just, you know, it's just this newfangled thing. They're trying to sell, you know, sell extra players and new consoles and new TVs and stuff like that. Like, I was really hardcore. Like, there's not much difference, and then I saw how much difference there was, and I kind of felt very foolish. So this booklet has, it actually feels really like a book. The pages feel like an actual novel, which is interesting. I like that choice because it is a story by acclaimed Chinese writer Liu Yi Chang, which provided thematic inspiration for Wong Kar-wai in making In the Mood for Love. So it's translated from Chinese, obviously, and so it's like this original story that was kind of inspiration for the film, and it's fairly lengthy. It kind of goes on for quite a while, and I like how the pages feel like an actual novel. So, yeah. The special features, look at that as well, and I love just the color design on this Blu-ray, from the inlay to the disc to the booklet to the front cover. Really nice. I love the reds. And again, I'm sounding like Blu-ray Dan. So we have In the Mood for Love, the director's own documentary on the making of the film, which is really interesting. I like that he made his own documentary on the making of the film. Deleted scenes with commentary from Wong Kar-wai, a short film he made in 2000, also an archival interview, a cinema lesson he gave at the 2001 Cannes Film Festival, a 2000 Toronto International Film Festival press conference with the stars of the movie, 2 new interviews with Tony Raines, and a booklet, and trailers and TV spots. So, there we go. And already at this point, I've been talking for almost as long as I did in the last video that I made and then lost, so I guess I couldn't do this quickly. I really couldn't. So the final criterion I want to talk about is a big one for me. It is a huge one for me. I'm so happy to own this, so excited to have it in my collection finally. And I made a video 5 years ago where I talked about my top 10 Blu-rays that I wanted to own in the future. And this was on that list, and I believe this is the last one that was on that list, and now I have all of them. Of course, I have a whole new list at this point, but it's really cool to have completed that in some way. And this also completes my Akira Kurosawa Criterion Blu-ray collection to date. I really hope they continue with Kurosawa's films in high definition. But we have the Yojimbo Sanjuro double pack, which includes Yojimbo and Sanjuro, which you can buy individually. But I wanted this because it has a nice slip box. Now, there are some releases that have a slip box that are just cheap and cheerful. You know, you can just take them off and they're nothing, you know. But this one has a nice design to it. It's nice and uniform. It matches the actual package design of the Amore cases inside. I love that artwork. I love that design. I love having both films together in the same collection. And I love these 2 films as well. And it's been a long time since I've seen them, so I'm really, and I say I'm really excited for everything, but I mean, I really am excited for the day that I sit down and watch these and experience them in high definition for the first time. So we have restored high definition transfers, obviously, audio commentaries by the faithful Kurosawa scholar Stephen Prince, documentaries on the making of both films, as part of the Akira Kurosawa It Is Wonderful to Create series, which is a very good series. They do very good making of documentaries. Theatrical trailers and teasers, and a stills gallery of behind-the-scenes photos, as well as the 2 booklets in both of the releases. So Yojimbo is basically the original Fistful of Dollars, which Sergio Leone ripped off with Clint Eastwood, which is still a great film, but this is the original. And we have Toshiro Mifune playing a Ronin, a masterless samurai, wandering into a town which has 2 warring sides to it, and he kind of pits them against each other as they both kind of vie for his services as their protector, because he's such a badass with a samurai sword and just such great characterization in this film. You know, he's such a memorable character with the way he kind of shrugs his shoulders, the way he scratches his hair and his beard and stuff. Just brilliant tics and brilliant, again, characterization that Toshiro Mifune brought to the samurai character. And Yojimbo is just such a fun film. It is pretty much a Japanese Western. And it very much took inspiration from Western films. I know Kurosawa is a big John Ford fan, so the way he frames things very much feels like a Western, and it has that kind of Western feel to it. These two sides of a town, you know, and the final showdown in the street is very much like a, you know, Pistols at Dawn kind of thing. So, Yojimbo, fantastic film. One of my favorite Kurosawas, I think. It's not one of his best, you know. It's fairly straightforward and actually kind of a more commercial film for him, I think, but it's just so enjoyable. And then the follow-up is the sequel from a year later, which follows the same character, Sanjuro, played by Toshiro Mifune, but it's a much different film, more of a quieter, more contemplative film at times. It still has action, but the finale to this film, with Tatsuya Nakadai, who appears in both films as different characters, the finale to Sanjuro is just breathtaking. I can't wait to see that again as well. That's such an amazing, iconic scene in Kurosawa's filmography. So overjoyed to own these two films, and to have everything that Kurosawa has had released as part of the Criterion Collection, on Blu-ray at least. I think they've released almost all of his films on DVD, but not on Blu-ray. So we have on Blu-ray, there is Rashomon, Ikiru, Seven Samurai, of course, Throne of Blood. We have Yojimbo, Sanjuro, Dreams, Kagemusha. I think there's another one as well that I'm forgetting. Hidden Fortress, of course. So I have all of them, and yeah. Oh, I suppose it's worth mentioning. And I mentioned this in the last video, and it's annoying me that I'm going to have to go find the picture and edit this back in. But I made a couple of orders with Barnes & Noble, and a lot of them took a long time to get here. One of the orders, which had 6 Blu-rays inside, was sent to my billing address, not my shipping address. And it had been sent before I could correct them on their mistake, and so it was what it was. So I have 6 more Criterions waiting for me back home in the UK, and I don't know when I'll be going back, probably Christmas time. So here are the 6 other titles that I picked up from Barnes & Noble that I won't get to lay my greasy hands on for another few months. Here we go. We have 3 films from Ozu, which I was really looking forward to watching pretty soon and featuring in my Asian cinema season, but oh well. An Autumn Afternoon, Late Spring, and Good Morning, which also features another film. Straw Dogs, another Dustin Hoffman film. The 39 Steps, and Throne of Blood, which also kind of completes my Kurosawa Criterion Blu-ray collection. So there you go, there you have it. I've kind of talked about those as well. Well, not talked about them, I just listed them off. Again, I'm just glad to get this video done at this point, because I've already done it and it's just, I've wasted so much time. I hope you got something out of it. Let me know your thoughts on any of the titles that I've shown in the video, if you've seen them, etc, 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 etc. And as I said, I hope that Criterion release more Kurosawa films. Every time that I get an email saying the new Criterion releases, I'm like, please some more Kurosawa, please some more Kurosawa. And there hasn't been any for quite a while, about a year now almost. So there's films like Drunken Angel, I'd love to see get a standalone release. Stray Dog, I'd love to see get a standalone release. I'd like to see The Men Who Tread on the Tiger's Tail get a standalone release. Or if the Criterion Collection decided to upgrade their Eclipse box set that features the first 5 films that Kurosawa did. Because I don't think that his first 4 films were really that good to be given a standalone Blu-ray release. You know, Senshio Sugata Part 1 and 2, and also The Most Beautiful, No Regrets for Our Youth. You know, all good films in their own way, and I enjoy them in different ways. But I think that The Men Who Tread on the Tiger's Tail, I'll leave that one in, is a really good film. It's only an hour long though, so I'm not sure if it would warrant a standalone release. But to box those 5 films together in a nice set to kind of mark the beginning of his career would be really, really cool. I'd love to see Dersu Izala as well. So yeah, anyway, Kurosawa, Criterion, good stuff. Got loads of great movies here, and I'll leave it with that. So thanks for watching. I'm exhausted. I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.